My guest at this time is Carrie Severino. She is chief counsel at the Judicial Crisis Network. She joins me now to discuss the push to confirm more Trump judicial nominations here in the lame duck session. And Carrie, thanks so much for being with us.
Great to be here, Greg.
Well, you had a tweet on November 19th extolling the Senate for confirming so many circuit and district court judges, but you also explained just how many vacancies there still are to fill. So how much work can get done in this lame duck session, and how much spills over into the new Congress?
Well, I think what we'd love to see is the almost 36 judges who are on the floor out of committee. They've already had their hearings, have been voted out of committee, who all they're waiting for is a vote from the full Senate. I'd love to see them all confirmed. That's something that Leader McConnell has said is his goal. Some of these people have literally been waiting a year from having their hearing and being done. So some of them have gotten very, very backed up. And this is a real problem because right now we are at very high levels, 14% vacancy in the federal judiciary. Trump came into office with historically very high level numbers of vacancies. He now has even more vacancies than when he came into office. So we should celebrate. He's had great judges, great picks, and they've done a great job of prioritizing appellate judges. So they've had record numbers of appellate judges confirmed. But when you look at the judicial numbers overall, we're still in the red. We still have more vacancies than confirmations. So my hope is Leader McConnell, I know, is prioritizing this, and I think that we should make it a big top priority. Get those people clear the decks, because there's a lot more judges that we need to come, and that's going to be a top priority starting in January.
As you point out, 84 confirmed already, 158 vacancies. So is it even realistic to think that you can fill all of those in the next 2 years?
Well, not if we continue going drip, drip, drip at this pace. And this is the challenge. Again, by prioritizing appellate judges, they've made record numbers. And so sometimes you'll hear people talking about the record confirmations, and that's talking about the appellate ones. But we've seen the Democrats using and really abusing procedural gimmicks to try to slow this down. So they use, the cloture process, which adds in extra time, up to 30 hours of debate for each judge. It forces them to go through a single file line, which is historically not at all how judges were confirmed. It used to be you would get people going on in batches. You would just have quick voice votes and move on. This is something that's requiring them to do a lot more procedure, even for judges who are not controversial. You might even have someone who has 100 votes in their favor and is required to go through this process. They've done that repeatedly, and that's what's slowing this down so much. So we're seeing unusual numbers of high retirement rates right now, and we simply need to be able to speed this up to keep up with the process, or you're going to have Trump leaving office with more vacancies than he came in with.
From time to time, Mitch McConnell talks about ending the policy of blue slips, meaning home state senators have extra power to block nominees from their state if they don't like them. But as far as I know, he hasn't actually done it. So what advice do you have for Senator McConnell, whether it's that policy or something else, to speed up the confirmation process?
Well, actually, I don't think blue slips are the major source of our problem. I think, as I said, the cloture process is slowing it down more. In terms of the blue slips, effectively for the appellate slot, that has maybe slowed things down because it takes time for the president to consult with the senators from these states. But he's made clear, and Chairman Grassley at the Judiciary Committee has made clear, Leader McConnell has made clear that if there are senators who are using this solely as a political block, for appellate judges at least, they're going to say, thank you for your input, we're still moving forward. And we've done that on several judges now so far. But the number of judges slowed down by that is small in comparison to the number being slowed down by these other processes, because the cloture exploit that they're doing, that applies to every judge, including judges like the D.C. Circuit that don't have senators you have to worry about, including judges in red states where we're not as worried about their senators just trying to block all of Trump's nominees or something. That is something they're doing to every judge across the board, and it's slowing down the process dramatically. So Leader McConnell has a rule change on the floor that Senator Lankford from Oklahoma came up with that would limit the amount of time that process takes. I think that would be a great thing. Just change the rules, and if they're going to abuse the process, let's make it simpler. But I think we have to do something so that this is not causing such a logjam in the judiciary.
In a little more than 6 weeks, I guess, we'll have the new Senate in place, and that means that Jeff Flake will no longer be there. But in the meantime, he is very interested in getting the Senate to at least take a floor vote on legislation that would essentially prevent the president from firing special counsel Robert Mueller. And if he doesn't get that, or until he gets that, he's vowing to block any vote on a judicial nominee in committee or on the floor. What's your reaction to that, and do you actually expect him to make good on that?
You know, it's puzzling to me because I think to connect that to judges in any way, it doesn't add up. You know, this is not something that has to do with judges. If there's anything this president is widely respected for across the center-right libertarian spectrum, it is amazing judges. You can agree or disagree with his policy in a lot of other areas, but everyone has to admit he does a bang-up job picking judges. So why you would try to block that doesn't make sense for me with Senator Flake. There's even a lot of constitutional questions as to whether that bill is even constitutional. So I think there's a lot of reasons that Leader McConnell, I think, is hesitant to bring it to the floor. You know, we'll see. Even if he decided I'm not going to vote on these people, they could still move them out of committee and to a floor vote, albeit without his support. We'll just see. On a positive note, we'll have a much better voting numbers in January. For a lot of reasons, not just the change out of Senator Flake, because obviously the new Arizona senator is probably not someone we can count on for great votes on judges. However, we will have a stronger margin in the Senate, so I think that just will make it that much easier to get these great judges confirmed.
Either 52 or 53 votes, depending on what happens in Mississippi. Last question for you, Carrie. I know I don't think it's been resolved yet. There's some discussion as to whether Chuck Grassley, who, of course, navigated the Kavanaugh confirmation, he could stay on as chairman. The newly emboldened Lindsey Graham could also be the chairman. Do you have any preference?
You know, I think they're going to have to make that call. Chairman Grassley has been, for a farmer from Iowa, you know, someone without legal training, I have been so impressed with how well he shepherded things, including the Kavanaugh confirmation, which was such a challenge. And Senator Graham was really key on helping get Kavanaugh's nomination across the finish line, because his real passion and concern about the abuse of the process that was going on there by the Democrats really, I think, struck a nerve and hit home with a lot of Americans watching this. So I think, you know, we'll leave it to them to figure out who's willing to take on that mantle next.
Well, Carrie, you've battled through the confirmation fights and you've endured my hoarse voice. Thanks for your time today.
Have a great day.
Carrie Severino is Chief Counsel at the Judicial Crisis Network. I'm Greg Columbus reporting for Radio America.